Hey guys, I wanted to talk more about this video that I found. I did find the actual version on as a short, and then they had a little bit of a related video that goes to their longer video, which isn't really that long. It's about 1 minute and 21 seconds, which most shorts that I make are about a minute, so it's not that long. But there's a lot of inaccuracies in this video, and I want to get to the very start of this all. Do your research before you watch one of these videos. If it's got AI voices or AI generated content in it, I recommend deeply for everybody to just go and research it for themselves. We can all be wrong, and even I can be wrong, and even in this video. They get a lot of parts mixed up in it, and that's what we'll be going through in this whole video. So let's get started.
What happened when Germans used chlorine gas on Canadian soldiers? When World War I erupted, Canadians from coast to coast eagerly signed up to fight overseas with their British allies.
At this point, the Canadians are not in a great relationship with the British. I'm not saying like they hate each other, but they just recently, the Canadians and the British have separated. So they're no longer really much of a like combined group. It's just more of Canadians and now of course British. And yes, the British and Canadians definitely fought together majority of the time through World War I. But let's keep going.
Unleashed their new weapon, chlorine gas. This proved to be a colossal mistake, turning the friendly, hockey-loving Canucks into some of the most brutal and vengeful warriors in history.
Chlorine gas was made in brass. Chlorine gas, excuse me, was made in 1922, 1915. And it was specifically used to, of course, weed out people out of trenches and kill them all. That was one of the biggest issues in World War I, is the trenches. Trenches were always the worst problem, and the Germans and even just the Americans would find different ways to fix the issue because it was such a causing problem during the war, and it's what caused so many stalemates. The chlorine gas, though, was actually used against two French divisions, but I don't think that also caused, and in this video we'll get into it, but it's basically saying the chlorine gas and what happened caused the Canadians to just become, I guess, angry at each other, or angry at, I guess, the Germans particularly, made them ferocious warriors. When in all reality, the reason why they were so ferocious is most of the warriors there, or the soldiers, were mainly hunters. They were all hunters, farmers. They were just their own kind of small militia, if you get it. So they were already ruthless from the beginning. So them going to war and not listening to rules and laws and just doing things that you would think as a human, you would know you wouldn't do, they did, which made them ruthless. They would do a lot of horrific things. And I think some of the video actually kind of touches bases on a little bit of it, but I'll go a little bit deeper into the video for you guys.
The Canadians quickly earned a reputation as merciless German slayers, rarely taking POWs.
I guess, yes, they were at a time. World War II, they were very well known to just killing Germans non-stop. World War I, it was very much more of a U.S. Marines were the known ones, because many of the Germans would have non-stop stories and wouldn't even sleep because they were so afraid of the U.S. Marines. They even gave them the nickname Devil Dogs. Yeah, that's where it came from in World War I.
When they did capture enemies, their treatment was notoriously harsh. They taunted German soldiers by tossing cans of corned beef across the trenches, only to follow up with a deadly volley of grenades when the Germans asked for more.
They don't really go into the harshness of what they did with their captured Germans. By captured, more or less, they captured them and just shot them for dead, or they would even piss on their grave. They just did a lot of horrific things. There's a lot of stories with the Canadians and their brutality. This is actually true. They did do this. They had a can of beans and they threw it towards the Germans, because the Germans were stuck at their trenches and they got hungry. And of course, if a German screamed out, "Give me another," they would throw a grenade, and I mean tons of volleys of them. They didn't want to weed out the Germans to come to their side or weed them out to retreat. No, they just wanted to mass murder them.
Christmas 1915 saw a temporary ceasefire, with Germans wishing Canadians a Merry Christmas.
Canadians weren't there. They were still trying to get to the Western Front. So I don't know why they said the Canadians were there. Maybe it's because of the British, and the British and Canadians...
Canadians became renowned for trench raids, wearing black gloves and face paint for stealth. They turned trench raiding into an art, with their ruthlessness earning them the nickname Sturmtruppen, or Stormtroopers.
So I don't get this part. It's really dumb. And the reason why is because Stormtruppen was the name of the military group that was known to attack inside of trenches with a submachine gun usually, and sometimes, of course, grenades and later gases. They were a tactic the Germans used in World War I, and I think they also kind of bled into World War II, but mainly you can find more history about them in World War I because they were a big part of the tactics. The issue was that the stormtroopers, it wouldn't make sense for a military unit that's called stormtroopers to call another group of stormtroopers. it doesn't really, make sense. It would make more sense for them to call them Tommies or to say different things or whatever, but to call them the same name as them, I don't see that actually happening, and it doesn't look like there's any records. It seems this is actually a common myth, and the myth came from another Canadian soldier, but his story really didn't add up inevitably, and I think there was another soldier that worked with him or was part of him that explained it a little bit better, that no, they weren't called stormtroopers. But again, it's a he says, she says situation, so we can't really use it as evidence in the world of history. So from now on, it's a myth. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. See you guys there.